Notice of a public meeting of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville pursuant to Chapter 551, Title 5 of the Texas Government Code, the Texas Open Meetings Act. Notice is hereby given at the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, in accordance with Article 5, Section 12 of the Charter of said city, will convene a workshop and executive session and a special meeting on Tuesday, August the 26th, 2014, at 5:30 p.m., 5:45 p.m., and 6 p.m. in the Commission Chambers on the second floor of Brownsville City Hall, located at 1001 East Elizabeth Street, Brownsville, Cameron County, Texas. Workshop item A, discussion regarding zoo funding and update on zoo activities.
Dr. Birchfield.
Welcome, Pat.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Commissioners, for allowing me to make this presentation. I think it appropriate that every few years we do a brief update on what's happened over the last few years and where we currently are and where we're headed. And one of the things that I wanted to do is bring you some real numbers, numbers, most of which were derived from the Governor's Office of Tourism and Economic Development, but that way we can attach some real dollar figures to the value that the zoo brings to Brownsville. Is this my?
Yes.
I think most people here know that the zoo was designed, built, stocked, and staffed by the Earl C. Sams Foundation and given to the city of Brownsville in 1971 for Brownsville and the rest of the world. The city of Brownsville owns the zoo buildings and grounds. I'm always surprised when I find there's a percentage of people that don't realize that the city owns the zoo. We have a unique living classroom for an average of over 400,000 visitors the last 5 consecutive years. In 2013, 11,483 youth received an educational presentation at the zoo. 6,400 took part in zoo programs like our summer camps and so on. 30,620 received off-site presentations, and over 214,515 students and children visited the zoo. Classes and outreach presentations promote environmental stewardship to over 32,000 youth annually. That's one of the benefits of the zoo in our community. Zoos draw people. In the U.S. for 2013, more people visited a zoo than attended all of the professional sporting events combined. That's NBA, NHL, NFL, and Major League Baseball. Over 180 million zoo guests. Zoos are incredibly popular across all socioeconomic strata, and they're huge assets to any community that has a major zoo or aquarium. Who attends our zoo? Gladys Porter Zoo visitors in 2013, 447,600. If you look, the light blue portion, 48% of those were Brownsville residents, 14% were out of Valley, and 38% were Valley residents. Now, how does that turn into dollars? What we know about out-of-Valley visitors: the average party size, 2.32 people, average length of stay, 3.26 days, 58.6% stayed in paid accommodations, 62,664 came to the zoo last year. And again, this is from the Office of Economic Development Tourism. It's a report that's made every 2 years for the Governor's Office. These are not our numbers, these are statewide numbers. So again, 62,664 people came to the zoo last year out of Valley. Reason for visiting the area: primary purpose of stay, 94.2% of Brownsville visitors were here for leisure, 5.8% were here for business. Leisure activities included touring, sightseeing, beach, nature, culture, hunt, fish, and boating. What we don't know is specifically what influenced these vacationers to come to Brownsville. However, when we look up things to do in Brownsville, the zoo comes up first time after time, and it's whether it's Google or whether it's TripAdvisor, any of those travel-related advertisements, the zoo's always listed as our #1 attraction among the many we have. Out-of-Valley Zoo guest spending in 2013. Average $813.04 per party based on an average party size of 2.32, staying an average of 3.26 days. So the 62,664 zoo guests in 2013 equals 27 and 10 parties, and that interpolates into $21.9 million to the Brownsville economy, and that's just out of Valley. That's just out of Valley. If you look at the asterisk down below, this figure does not include spending by in-Valley guests from outside of Brownsville. So $21.9 million from out-of-Valley zoo guests. Now, as I said a little bit earlier, communities which have a major zoo and aquarium realize the value of that facility to their communities, and in many instances, like Brownsville, it is their biggest tourism attraction. Gladys Porter Zoo economics. Our budget currently stands at $5.2 million annual budget. We spend over $2.7 million in local salaries. We employ 120 people, and we spend nearly $2 million in local purchases, which, if you look at the total budget, that means we spend $4.7 million of our $5.2 million right here in Brownsville. So only $500,000 of our $5.2 million is spent outside of Brownsville. Just to give you a little bit of an idea about what some other communities are doing relative to their zoos and aquariums and how they consider them in terms of importance to tourism. Texas State Aquarium Corpus Christi is doing a $50 million bond issue to increase their current aquarium size by 1.5 times. I don't know if you've been to Corpus Christi lately. The aquarium they have is very nice, but they realize it's the biggest attraction they have, and so they're putting their money into enhancing that facility. If you look down below, El Paso Zoo, which is kind of unique, and it's the only other zoo on the border that has essentially the same demographic we do, and is owned by the city wherein it lives or it occupies. El Paso Zoo just passed a $50 million bond issue for improvements to the zoo and infrastructure. Let me couch that by saying in the year 2000, they passed a $30 million bond, which they spent between the year 2000 and 2012 for improvements to the El Paso Zoo. So you combine the two, and we're talking about over $80 million in bond issues the city of El Paso has passed since 2000 for improvements at their zoo. And here's the take-home. We have bigger attendance than they do. Funding needs at the zoo over the next 3 years. We need to replace deteriorating roofs, sewer lines, and plumbing to public restrooms, restoring several animal exhibit islands lost to silting in of resakas, generators to power commissary and animal health center in the event of extended power outages, as in the case of a hurricane or something of that type. We're looking at roughly, we're going to be raising one way or another roughly $10 million for the redo on the Patty Gorge's Small World, our petting area of the zoo, which we're actively fundraising for as we speak. A new Huasteca exhibit, a new Colobus and Mandrill monkey jungle, and Creatures of the Night African exhibit. And I'll just give you some kind of brief looks at that. In the Patty Gorge's Small World, this is a crawl-through activity for children where there's a pop-up in the middle of the two meerkat colonies to make that more attractive and more interactive for children. The Ceiba tree exhibit, the Ceiba tree or tree of life is found in the tropics worldwide, but this will give a new home to our some of our monkeys, and they'll have both more of a vertical component as well as a horizontal component where they can run for long distances. But it's also a crawl through for kids where they encounter a large constricting snake or a scorpion. It'll be more experiential. So we're trying to make the zoo more of an experiential type thing as opposed to just standing back and looking, more participatory things, more interactives for children, more educational activities. One of our new exhibits on the drawing board is the La Huasteca exhibit, which will include Jaguar Canyon, otters, and either ocelot or jaguarundi, and the white-tailed yard current exhibit will probably be converted to either tapir or giant anteater. But the thing about the La Huasteca exhibit, it will combine a cultural anthropology museum because we're going to feature the interrelationship of Native American cultures with the plants and animals that they coexisted with, and it will have things about Coahuiltecans, Karankawas, Lipan Apaches, Pisotes, all of the Native American cultures. So it's going to be a double bang for your buck. We'll probably get visitors that will come for the anthropology museum part of it that may or may not be interested in plants or animals. Recently completed, last September 28th, we opened the long-awaited Russell Aquatic Ecology Center. It's been extremely popular. Kids love touching the stingrays, and we're trying to get them acclimated to where they're going to be able to feed them. The new South Texas Discovery Center, we already had a preview opening. Within about 3 weeks, we'll open it to the public. It's 6,800 square feet of classroom space, and that will allow us to service a lot more students than we previously had. The zoo will continue ensuring our conservation and research programs, help to preserve habitats, continue to captive breeding of endangered species, and help to engender a deeper understanding of our biodiversity. Creating a positive impact on the local economy, we attract tourists, we offer area jobs, and we educate and inspire local youth. Let's continue to make our zoo all it can be. Thanks for your continued support. I certainly appreciate the support of everyone on the commission, and especially this last year when we were really under the gun from our accrediting board nationally. They were very pleased to see the new walkways, the new bridges, but I really need your help, and I need to try and get that amount from the city up a little bit, especially on the part that we can use for infrastructure, repairs, and maintenance. Either that or you guys need to continue to help us out of your budget. So, any questions?
I have a real quick comment. Two of my favorite people ever in Brownsville is Gladys Porter and you, Dr. Birchfield. I don't know if you knew that.
Well, thank you very much. If I pass, just bronze me and put me somewhere in the zoo or on the biking trail.
Well, you have done a tremendous job with the zoo. I have two small kids, so I get to see everybody's zoo here, there, in Disney Animal Kingdom, and there is no place like home. I am telling you right now that we support you because you are amazing at what you do, and you hold the jewel to Brownsville, and you run it like a very well-oiled ship. And
Well,
so we're very, very grateful to you for that, and we appreciate everything that you do.
Well, just so the whole commission and everyone in this room realize, they have a very wonderful staff.
Right.
And the zoo would continue to flourish if I'm not here because you have a great staff, and it's like any other team effort. It's fun to be at the top and try and push things forward. But I want to thank you for your continuing support, and I hope to keep the Gladys Porter Zoo one of the top zoos in the country, but we really need to work at it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Like a ponytail.
Executive session, item A, consultation with attorney pursuant to section 551.071 parentheses 2 of the Texas Government Code on a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the governmental body under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with this chapter.
We go to executive session?
Okay.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Just give those two just a minute to come back.
One.
Okay, go ahead, Stella.
Memory bug.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Under the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one,
Under God,
under God, indivisible,
one and indivisible. I won. You're good.
Let's pray. Father God, we thank you for who you are. Lord, we thank you for the joy you give each of us. And Lord, for those that are lacking it, Lord, we ask you to help them to find their joy in you and family and good things. Lord, we thank you for the opportunities that are before us tonight. And Lord, I ask you to lead and guide our mayor and each of the commissioners as to what's best for the city of Brownsville. In the name of Jesus Christ.
Amen.
amen.
Action on item discussed in executive session. Item A, consideration and action regarding a right of entry agreement with Union Pacific Railroad.
Mayor, I move to advise council to proceed as told in executive session with pending language on the insurance agreement.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Have no
Mayor's activity update, none. Commissioners' activity update. Presentations. Office of Grant Management and Community Development biannual update.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners.
Stephanie?
We're here this evening to present to you our biannual report on grant progress out of our department. So I'm going to let Roxana Rosas lead the presentation tonight.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Commissioners. I'm Roxana with the Office of Grant Management, and we'd like to present to you our biannual update. We'll be presenting to you our city department assignment chart, grants awarded and submitted as of February of this year, grants we're currently working on, as well as any highlights in between. So to begin, this is our city department assignment chart. I'm Roxana. I work a lot with engineering, public works, health. Chadim works with planning, building inspections, and airport. And Sarah, she's our newest grant writer. She handles our emergency services. So she works with emergency management, police, and fire, just to name a few. As of last Monday, Chadim went on maternity leave, so Sarah and I will be presenting on behalf of the department tonight.
Congratulations.
Did she have the baby already? She did. Here are our grants awarded as of February. We were awarded a total of 7 grants, totaling $105,000. And here's a breakdown by department. As you can see, planning received a total of $59,000. Public Works received $14,000. Traffic Department received $16,000. Keep Brownsville Beautiful received $15,000. Public Health Department received the All-America City Designation Award. And the Parks and Recreation Department received the Playful City USA designation as well. Again, we were awarded $105,000. We leveraged $64,000, which means that for every dollar that the city invested, we received $1.65 in return. And here's Sarah.
Good evening. The screen before you demonstrates our pending grants. One of our more notable grants includes the Hike and Bike Trail Master Plan, for which we requested a total of $7.2 million. This is a total of 15 applications that spans 10 years and 4 phases of construction. This is our grant summary again. We submitted a total of 38 grants. We requested a total of $8.8 million. We are also looking for grant opportunities for the Brownsville Performing Arts Academy. We are looking at several options to get this funded. Some of our highlights, in June of this year, several delegates from all over the city of Brownsville went to Denver, Colorado, and represented the community in an initiative to look for new and positive ways of making the city better. This would not have happened without the entire city's involvement. Here we have the SC2 roundtable discussion. In attendance were the DOT, the EPA, and representatives from the HUD from the San Antonio office. Basically, the leaders from community discussed, again, new innovative ways to improve our economy, health, and other several topics. Here we have the FEMA Hazard Mitigation Plan. This was a grant we received in 2012. There was a total of 37 action plans that were submitted that make up the plan. The purpose of this plan is to help reduce risks, hazards such as hurricanes and other natural disasters. Please feel free to contact us at any time, and this concludes our biannual presentation. Thank you very much.
I would also like to add congratulations and thank you for all your hard work. You really do an excellent, outstanding job. And to that, even though you weren't the primary authors, you did participate in the Robert Wood Johnson Culture of Health Award, which was another $25,000. And today we received word from the Let's Move Cities organization that we received several medals. I believe there were 4 or 5, if I'm not mistaken, which you share in because of all of the work that you do all year long. So thank you very much. You are a tremendous asset to the city.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Item number 4.
Item number 4, consent agendas A through C.
Approved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Number
Aye.
5.
Item 5, consideration and action to appoint or reappoint one member to the Brownsville Citizens Advisory Committee.
I'd like to move to present Carlo Hernandez to the advisory committee.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor, on the next, item number 6.
Item 6, consideration and action to appoint or reappoint 2 members to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
I would like to make a motion to table this item. We just barely received the applications, and I did notice that there was an applicant that had mentioned to me that they had submitted the application, and I don't see it in there. So,
There's a motion to table. Anybody second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Table until the next time.
Item 7, first public hearing to discuss the 2014 ad valorem tax rate for fiscal year 2015.
Honorable Mayor, members of the Commission, this is our first public hearing on the tax rate that will be proposed for tax year 2015. Like previously stated, anytime we request or we're going to adopt a tax rate above the effective tax rate, we must have 2 public hearings. This is the first public hearing. If the city adopts the effective tax rate of 0.698701, we will have a shortfall in the general fund of $100,650. If the city maintains the current tax rate of 70 cents 613, we'll have a balanced budget. If the city adopts a rollback rate, which we're not recommending, we'll have an excess funds of $2,870,347. This schedule shows if we have the effective rate same as the proposed rate, we'll have a 0% increase. Having that tax rate approved, we'll have a deficit of $100,650. What we're proposing is a tax rate of 70 cents. Excuse me. excuse me, that's it. We're proposing a tax rate to maintain the same tax rates of 2013 of 70 cents point 13. This is an increase to the effective rate by the amount of 0.27%. With that tax, recommended tax increase will balance the budget with the general fund statement of revenue expenses. Our revenues will equal our expenditures. Excuse me. There it is. Rollback rate. This is a rollback rate. The rollback rate computed was 75 cents. We're not recommending this rollback rate, but if it does get approved, we'll have an excess funds of $2,870,347. This is a schedule of the percentage increase compared to the tax rate. We maintain the prior year tax rate of 70 cents. We'll have an increase of 0.27%. This is a schedule that illustrates the amount of, for every penny approved above the tax rate, we estimate to have about 544,000 in additional levies. These three schedules right here is basically illustrating that in 2007, we froze tax levies on owners of homeowners that were 65 and over. If we approve the tax rate 77, we'll not realize 582,000 in tax revenues because of the freeze. This schedule illustrates that the increase in the homeowners rate if the 70 cents is approved over the effective rate of $1.64. This is a public hearing.
Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen, all of you, have a good year, brother, okay? And a good char days coming up. I'm here for just one simple reason, that I do not want you to raise our taxes. You know, we're paying enough. We have to learn to live within our means, brother. All of us, not only Barrera, but each one of you, so you won't have to give up your home and so forth. So please, no more taxes. We've had enough of those taxes. And we got a good city. We got a good group of paid commissioners. No, todavía no? Yeah. Okay, non-paid commissioners, you guys are doing a good job for the city, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you, Your Honor.
Shortest one in history. Congratulations.
Roberto Uresti. I'd like to address the commissioners that we can live with the effective tax rate. The reason we are going to be in debt a little bit was the Casa and Islands purchase, certificates of obligations that were done last year. Buying the building at $2.2 million, we wouldn't have this budget deal. We would have had a budget already clear and able to prove with the effective tax rate. And then we have what is called the 70 cents. That would be actually not the rollback, because they're asking, he said, in case you approve the rollback tax, which is 0.75, almost a nickel more, you're gonna have more than $2.8 million extra in the general fund. But this commission has not been actually working with the people as far as how they're spending the money. That is my point. As a taxpayer and a property owner, and a lot of my fellow citizens there in the Galaxia area have no idea what's going on over here. I don't care if you put in the newspaper as big as 5 miles big, people don't know what's really going on down here at the City Commission and how you're spending the money. The effective tax rate can't make the budget. It can make it. Some of you need to do a little studying. That's what you all need to do. You need to stop spending money and giving it away. That is my issue here. We can't work this out. If I was in the commission, I would look at why we have so many of our employees going on field trips every time you have a meeting. Right now, we have almost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people going on supposedly trips. The metro system, I don't understand why they have to go on all of these trips. May I ask you, sir, where is this money coming from and how much money has been spent on travel for the whole entire year of 2014?
Travel gets approved by management, and we would have to, produce that information for you. It's not something that I have handy right now.
But it was in the budget, right? And
Yep.
the money comes from where? The general fund?
Well, on the public transit, it's funded mainly about 75% from the federal and the state. The local portion comes from the city. That is correct.
And that includes the fire department, the police department, and we have other permits, city, even the city manager has somebody going out on trips. So those are not funded through grants, is that correct?
That is correct. It's funded to general fund budget.
Okay, so if we would cut down some of this travel, a big chunk of that money, we could easily save $100,000, is that correct?
Some of this travel is required as part of their job requirements, and it's not easy to arbitrarily cut travel as you're requesting. They have to be evaluated because some of this travel, again, it's required for some of their positions that they have.
Yeah, because my concern as a taxpayer is we have all of these people leaving town instead of being at work. That is my position here. I can imagine having the whole commission go.
And Robert,
Excuse me, Mayor,
I'm going to invoke the Robert Rules of Order. You can go
Okay.
ahead and address your questions to Mr.,
Yeah, okay.
but he knows the questions, and so if this is not a cross-examination.
No, sir, but I just want to know, make sure that I'm against the
Excuse me,
tax.
Mayor. I'd also like to point out that this is item number 7, which is a hearing on the ad valorem tax rate. It's not on specific
Right,
items of travel.
okay.
Okay.
Thank
So
you
it's-
very
it's
much,
not really on
Robert.
topic.
Appreciate it. Okay, there is not an action item, but do I hear a motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 8.
Item number 8, public hearing to discuss the city's proposed fiscal 2015 budget.
Honorable Mayor, members of the commission, on August 15th, the city filed the budget with the city secretary as required by the tax law that the budget needs to be with the city secretary's office for 30 days for public inspection. The binder that you have in front of you, this binder, the meeting that was, the budget that was filed with the city secretary had a deficit of $1,462,544. The workbook that you have in front of you is a balance, is a balanced budget, and I'll go over it real quick. If you turn to page number 2, this is the entire budget for the city of Brownsville. This is on the workbook they have here. This includes all operating funds and debt service. We have $132,364,349 on page. No, it's not. I have a PowerPoint presentation that I'll go over right after I go over this book. On page 4 and 5, we have a combined statement of revenue, expenditure, and change in fund balance. This is a summary of the budget for all funds, all operating funds and debt service. This is a summarized, we have your revenues and expenditures. On page 6, you have your annual revenues by fund, has a comparison between 2014 budget and 2015 budget. Page 7 has a similar schedule, but this is for expenditures by fund on the expenditures side. We skip to page 13. These are all the positions that were authorized by fund on the general fund all the way up to the Golf Center. These positions, you see, they have been all approved by City Commission. Page 14, we have a full-time authorized personnel. This is a breakdown between the collective bargaining employees and regular employees. There's 418 collective bargaining employees in the general fund compared to 534 in the general fund. There's a note there that there's 12 firefighters that are assigned to the airport fund that are not included in the general fund. Page 15, we have a personnel for all funds, for all operating funds, and that all authorized positions are 1,192. There's a breakdown between collective bargaining and regular employees. Let's skip to page 18. This is a statement of revenue expenditure change in fund balance. This is with a proposed tax rate of 70 cents. As you'll see there, the revenues and the expenses match up for $96,172,167. This will produce a unassigned fund balance of 12.23%. Page 21, for the proposed 2012 budget, you'll see that about 73% of the overall budget in the general fund is for personnel services. This is because we're service oriented, heavy on personnel. Page 23, we'll start with the revenues in the general fund. This is a lot of information, and we'll have two more meetings, and you'll have time to go over these should you wish. This is a revenue detail of all the general fund, franchise fees, sales tax, all the revenues are itemized on here. And that goes all the way to page 34. In the general fund, the expenditure summary starts on page 36. This is a summary of all the department expenditures. You have your actual amounts and your budgets for 2014, 2015, and the proposed. These are all summary. Page 40, you have a detail of all the expenditures on your by fund and by department. It itemizes all the detailed expenditures. This schedule goes to all the way to page 152. Then we have the Convention and Tourism Fund. Convention and Tourism Fund, you'll see that we have revenues of $2,076,300 and expenditures $2,069,889, surplus of $6,419.
I'm sorry, what page is that on?
Page 154. We are maintaining the same funding for the various agencies that were funded from the hotel motel tax. We're maintaining the same funding on there. Page 55. Page 55 is a annual detail revenues and expenditures of the history of all the revenues and all the expenditures since fiscal year 2007 to proposed budget of 2015. We also, similar to the general fund, we have on each of these funds, we have a detailed revenues on here on page 57. On page 59, we have detailed expenditures for the Convention and Visitors Fund. Page 63, we have the Community Development Fund. This is a fully granted fund. Revenues equal expenditures. Skip over to the Debt Service Fund, page 79. Page 81. On 81, you'll see that if the tax rate is 70 cents, we show revenues, expenses in excess of revenues, which has a deficit of $717,177. The reason because of this, recall, we during the tax rate, there's a portion that's allocated to the debt service fund. We moved more into the general fund so the general fund could have more money. We did that because we were confident we had a surplus funds in there. We had a beginning surplus of $2,091,000. By doing this, we're confident that we'll make sure, we'll make debt service payments as required, leaving a projected September fund balance of $1,374,232. Page 83, you'll have 83 and 84, you have a detail, also a history of all the activity of since 2006 through budget of 2015. Page 85, you see that we have a outstanding balance of $151,275,000 in debt. Not all of it is city debt, tax supported, excuse me. Some of it is self-supported, $8,071,338, and they're on page 186 lists the funding sources of self-supporting debt. Go to page 93. We have the landfill fund. Landfill fund, we have an excess of revenues over expenses of $12,000. We'll end up the fund balance of, in September 30th, of $211,000. Page 94, 95, again, we have a history since 2006 through current of all the activity in that fund. Revenues, you have a details, and expenses, you have a details for that fund too that follow. And we skip over to the airport fund. Airport fund, you have a statement of revenue expenditures from fiscal year 2009 to the proposed budget of 2015. For proposed budget, we have its balance with an excess of $2,729. Again, this same fund has a detailed revenues following that and detailed expenditures. On the bridge fund, we have
What page is that on?
bridge fund, 224. On the bridge fund, we have a city shares on the Veterans Bridge of a projected amount of $1,645,000. We have a transfer out to the general fund of $2,045,000. The reason the expenses exceed revenues is because we have a beginning surplus balance of $589,000. That will leave a balance of $190,318. Go to the motor vehicle parking fund, which is 230. On 230, motor vehicle parking system, the proposed budget, you have revenues in excess of expenses of $92,531. Any excess funds on these on the parking meter are going to be reserved for downtown improvements on this. We followed up by the detailed revenues, detailed expenditures on there. Now we go to the public transit fund. Public transit fund, yeah, you have operating revenues, operating expenses. It operates at a deficit. Part of the deficit is funded 50% from the federal government. Then there's the local shares. The rest of it is 50% from local share. There's a state operating assistance of $581,000. There's other local shares that are generated by the public transit. One of them is the transit operator lease revenues, $309,000. In order to fund this, there's a general fund transfer for $707,933. The next page is 241 and on. You have the detailed revenue of since actuals of 2013 and on. And go to the call center fund, page 256, 257, I'm sorry. You have the actuals. You have the actuals on the proposed budget. You have an excess of $5,113, followed by this summary. You have, again, the detailed revenues and expenditures on here. I have a presentation that mostly covers this information, but I'll go with it real quickly. These are the adjustments that we did. These are the revisions that we did to the 2015 budget since the last public hearing on August 5th, and the budget document that was filed at City Secretary's office. We began with a deficit of $1,462,000. We revised our revenue projections to increase it at $1,291,588. On the expenditures, we did reduce overtime expenditures, $207,000. Workman's comp, there wasn't a savings on workman's comp rate. There was a decrease on it, so we had a savings on it of $144,772. We had two positions. We're only funding two positions, or proposed on this budget. One is both are for the library, and we're adjusting the Brownsville PD communications to match actual expenditures. They've had a significant increase on that. That balances a budget of with a tax rate of 70 cents, 613. I went over this operating funds, total of $132,364. Gone over the schedules. This just informs that 2007 we had the freeze, and because of the property tax freeze, we have unrealized revenues based on the various scenarios, effective, proposed, and the rollback rate. There's two new positions that are in the budget, $796. PUB transfers proposed, utilities proposed. Sales tax, this is sales tax. We're doing, on the actual year today, we're up 3.73. On budget projections, we're on, through the month of July, we're at 2.02%. Veterans Bridge, on actuals, we're up 28% for the same period in July. But budget, we're maintaining budget at 3.72. This is the statement of revenue expenses for the general fund. 96,172,167 equals expenditures of 96,172,167 balanced budget. With this, we'll have a percentage of unassigned balance of 12.23%. We're now 73.73% of the proposed budget is related to personal services. The reserves. This is reserves. This is what we always emphasize on the reserves. Last year, 2013, we had reserves of 17.85. These reserves, we always want to maintain them at above 15%. Anytime we're going to issue debt, our rating agencies review this to make sure that we keep up over the 15%. It helps us on our bond rating, and hence translates to savings in interest rates. Convention tourism. These are the maintaining same funding for all the agencies. Community development, non-bonded, went over the debt service, landfill, airport, bridge fund, motor vehicle, public transit, went over it, call center. These are the positions that we asked. This is a summary. In general fund, 2,030,876. I'll go over to the next schedule. These are a list of all the positions that were requested. There were 97 positions requested due to budget constraints. We only funded 2. With the wages, including benefits, about $3,738,000 for the landfill, golf course, and airport, their respective amounts. These are the 2 personnel that are included in the proposed budget. Capital outlays, these are the requests for capital outlays, which were not funded through the budget process. And special projects also requested and not funded currently in the current budget. Is this a public hearing?
Lupe, I have a question. Every year, I do sit on the airport board, and every year I always ask what the marketing budget is, and I know that we work very hard to increase it, because without that, it's very hard for us to go and recruit new airlines. And so I had asked what it was this year, and I was told $350,000, but then I found out that it's only $150,000. I'm wondering, is that correct information?
Let me Let me
Okay.
check real quick.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
I think it'd be a little bit hard to find it right now.
Okay,
If
well-
Can I come back next meeting and give you that
Okay.
information?
I'd really like to know.
I've had some issues on the budget. Mr. Granado met with me during the week. Maybe if you want to schedule before the next meeting, schedule a meeting with him, and
Well, we had a
Yes.
meeting set, and I had a personal emergency.
if it's something
so-
specific you want,
Right.
set a
Well,
meeting with
I have no problem giving you.
Thanks, Lupe, I appreciate it. It's something that's very important to, I feel, our city, if we could increase our amount of airlines.
Lupe, on the requested positions, you said there's 97? Or, let's see.
In
97.
the general fund, 97, overall, 110.
Oh, okay. And budgeted in this proposed budget, how many?
Two.
Two?
Two.
Wow.
That's not taking into account any vacancies that might open, anybody that might retire, anybody that might then,
But these are authorized positions.
Yes.
Once, of course, somebody vacates, the position stays open.
Okay, still public hearing.
Yes.
Like we got.
Robert Esty. I just listened and I had a hard time going through all this massive information. One good question is, and I'm not speaking for the employees that do work, because the police department and the fire department are completely different than the regular employees. And I think some of the commissioners there do have the same thinking I have, is that they got a tiny little raise last year, extremely tiny. And I know that the budget supposedly, if we go with effective tax rates or the current tax rate, we have a budget that we even out. But I do like to say that some consideration, I don't think he spoke of any raises, correct? Okay. There were no raises mentioned. And that is something, because the way the economy is going, I do support a little something for them, because I make it because we all work hard for what we got. And the property owners that I work and help, they work extremely hard trying to keep up in life in Brownsville. And life is very hard. But the employees that do work for you all, they're not under any union or anything like that. Sometimes they haven't been heard. Their voices are closed. And I would like to say that if you are going to increase something, because I cannot change your minds of how you're going to vote, that you do think about them. That's number one. The other question I'd like to say is, on the event center, is it still losing money?
There is a sunshine.
There's still several places you can increase our budget by looking at all the deficiencies of all the buildings or places that you have out there. The event center is one of them, of course. The bus system is another one, I know. The airport's another one. I have not seen any plans being put out in which we can improve the way we run that facilities. And you could save money. I haven't yet to see anything come out of this board for years. We're not talking about right now. The past, the present, and the future. I mean, economically, if we can improve on those things, I wouldn't be here. I do pay my taxes. Yes, I'm going to hit 65 very soon. I'm going to be up there in that board, and you're not going to like me.
I'm already there, so.
And pretty
Okay.
soon, if I get 100% disability from the VA, you're not going to like me even more, because I won't pay any taxes. I'm almost there.
then you won't complain?
Okay.
I'll go to San Antonio.
Okay.
I know,
Thank-
I know,
thank-
Ben.
thank
But
you, Robert.
please look at that improvements, okay? And
Okay.
the workers. Thank
Mr.
you.
Odesti,
Thank you.
Mayor, if you don't mind, Mr. Odesti, just to let you know, employees, yes, you hit it right on the nail when you said that we don't, because we're bound to police and fire through our collective bargaining. We are bound by them, but we do have a study going on. We do have a pay matrix, okay? That's how we established the last raise that was given to employees, mind you, subject to collective bargaining. But we do have a comprehensive study going on right now. Okay? It doesn't appear in the current budget for particular reasons, but the study is going on, and that will address. And then this commission's job next year and the following year will be how to address the funding issues and how to be able to get everybody up to par. So are steps being taken? Yes, they are. Okay? Just because you don't see it on the overall process when it comes to balancing a budget, doesn't mean that it's not going on. It is going on. Rest assured.
Well, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Do I entertain?
The compensation study will be presented to the commission in the near future,
Yes, sir.
once it's finalized, but we would hope that some compensation is done during this fiscal year.
Thank you, sir.
That'll be presented later.
I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, we want to continue this public hearing for next week.
Want to continue?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries.
Item 9, public hearing and action to accept the 2014 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Program Award in the amount of $83,120.
Apologize, I forgot that was on the agenda. A couple weeks ago, commission meetings ago, we requested authority to go ahead and apply. This is actually the grant. So we're requesting approval, if it's okay with the commission.
It's a public hearing. Motion to close public hearing?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
To approve.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Item 10, we have one public comment, Mr. Robert Udell. Item 11, consideration and action regarding authorization to apply for and receive a technical assistance award for the Rivers, Trails, and Conservation Assistance Program application through National Park Service.
The Parks and Recreation Department, through the Office of Grant Management, is applying to the National Park Service for technical assistance through the RTCA grant, which is Rivers, Trails, and Conservation. The purpose of this grant is to place natural foliage along our existing bike trails. This would provide low maintenance, and it would attract butterflies, which is a very strong movement throughout the country.
Just what I need when I bike ride.
I want to thank you, of course, Sarah, and Dr. Birchfield for sending this grant our way. We had a conversation a while back about creating butterfly gardens along the trails to reduce maintenance and beautify the gardens and involve school children. So we are moving in that direction. Thank you.
Move to approve.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 12.
Item number 12, consideration and action to approve submission, accept award, and expend requested funds totaling $497,100 for the Adaptive Sports Program for disabled veterans and members of the Armed Forces application through the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs.
Good evening. The Parks and Recreation Department, through our department, is applying for a grant to develop and offer regional adaptive exercise programs for our esteemed veterans. The name of our proposed project is called BRAVE, which stands for Brownsville's Regional Adaptive Veterans Exercise Program. We are requesting a total of $497,000 from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs to implement this adaptive cycling program. It'll include structured cycling programs, leisure cycling clubs, and quarterly racing events for disabled veterans. There is no match requirement for this grant.
Move to approve.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion
Thank you.
carries. Thank you.
Good luck.
Item 13, consideration and action to award amendment number 2 for taxiway Bravo improvements at Brownsville South Padre Island International Airport.
Honorable Mayor and City Commissioners, the purpose for coming before you is to request the City Commission approve amendment number 2 to the construction contract with Foremost Construction Company for the Taxiway Bravo project. As the Commission may recall, the concrete in question was installed in 1935 when FDR was president. It was then overlaid several times with asphalt. The Taxiway Bravo project is designed to remove that asphalt and originally to put new asphalt in place of it. When the asphalt was removed, it became evident that the concrete panels that were installed in 1935 had cracked. Subsequently, we negotiated with the FAA to do an amendment to the grant request that was approved so that we could replace these panels of concrete as well. The FAA agreed. The cost is $112,172.80. It's a little bit less than 2% of the $9 million total cost. The engineers are here too. If you'd like have any questions with regard to the project, staff recommends approval.
Approve.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Number 14.
Item 14, consideration and action to award a contract for commemorative Air Force Museum HVAC repairs for the Brownsville South Padre Island International Airport.
Honorable Mayor and Commissioners, the purpose of this item is to request that the City Commission act to award a contract based upon the bids received to Adrian Delgado of TD Industries for the purpose of installing a new HVAC system in the hangar that is used by the Commemorative Air Force as their museum facility. The project is funded with a grant from the BCIC for $75,129 and a $50,000 matching ramp grant from Texas Department of Aviation. The rest is from the airport budget for a total of $131,235. The work is scheduled to be done in 6 weeks from tonight and so forth. Staff recommends approval, as does the architect Stan Knowles, who is here.
Motion to approve?
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Item number 15.
Item 15, consideration and action to award a contract for leasing services of an aircraft fire rescue unit for Brownsville South Padre Island International Airport.
Honorable Mayor and Commissioners, the purpose of this item is to request that the City Commission act to authorize the lease of an ARF rescue truck, that's a foam delivery truck, for the purposes from the firm of Siddons Martin. This is necessary in order to allow for our existing ARF truck to be returned to the original factory where it was made for a period of about 6 months and be rehabilitated. The replacement ARF truck will cost about $33,000 for the 6-month period, as well as $5,000 shipping cost. It's necessary to have that truck at all times in order to sustain commercial service at the airport. The cost is being paid by the FAA through a grant from the FAA, and we ask the City Commission to award this subject to approval of that grant from the FAA. Staff recommends approval.
Move to approve, six to approval.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Charlie. Larry.
Item 16, consideration and action to award a contract for the purchase and delivery of 2 vehicles for the Planning Department.
Mayor, Commissioners, we had bid solicitations in relation to the vehicle purchases in August of 2013. It was good for 1 year, August of 2014. We went out of proposals for 2 vehicles. However, bids were withdrawn from Tipton and others. We only have 1 competitive bid. My recommendation would be that we reject this and go out on proposals, go out on bids, and see where the market tells us in the upcoming months.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, so it would be,
So you're asking that we
We table?
Motion to reject.
motion to reject the bids?
Yes.
Okay.
Motion to reject?
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Motion carries.
Item 17, consideration and action to award a contract for a Parks Master Plan.
Mayor, Commissioners, RFPs for the Parks Master Plan were submitted to the Purchasing Department by 3 companies on June 17, 2014. Evaluation Committee reviewed the proposals. Interviews with the 3 firms were conducted on July 25th and were scored. After ranking the firms, negotiation meetings with the highest-ranked firm was conducted on August 6th, and the best and final offer was submitted by Pros Consulting out of Indianapolis, Indiana. Staff recommends Pros Consulting for the contract amount of $95,000. Funding for this project will come from the Brownsville Community Improvement Corporation in the amount of $50,000, with the remaining balance of $45,000 being paid from the Parks and Recreation Department budget, or the general fund.
Approved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item
number
18, consideration and action to award a term contract for renewal for software maintenance and technical support for the Public Safety Information System for the Brownsville Police Department and the Brownsville Fire Department.
Mayor, City Commission, this is our software and tech support for Spillman. This is the software that runs our computer-aided dispatch, records management, fire department. Both departments are represented in this agenda item. We're requesting approval. We have it in our budget. This is for fiscal 15, starting October 1st. And we've been with Spillman for 10 years.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you all.